Imagine a widow, Cordelia, standing in her Oregon home, still raw from her husband Arthur's death. Her children, Caleb and Sloane, arrive not to grieve but to profit, tossing his muddy boots in the trash, and plotting to turn his beloved forest into a luxury resort. They interrupt his heartfelt will 21 times, thinking she's too broken to fight back. But Cordelia's got a hidden recorder capturing their betrayal, and she's ready to protect Arthur's legacy with fierce resolve. Stay with us for a gripping tale of greed, courage, and a widow's unbreakable spirit. If you're drawn to stories of strength and justice, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more powerful tales. Share this to inspire others to stand up for what matters. Now, let's dive into the full story. The Oregon coast woke under a veil of fog, the air thick with salt and pine, clinging to the ancient Douglas firs. Arthur Blackwood would have called it perfect for fixing fences. Morning ripe with purpose. For 42 years, Cordelia and Arthur shared these quiet dawns, coffee mugs warming their hands, their silence a language of love. Now, 8 months after his death, that silence was a deafening void, missing his gentle laugh. In Arthur's study, Cordelia held his worn leather portfolio, a keepsake from his father. Inside was his handwritten will, penned in his final days, its shaky signature defiant against the illness that claimed him. "Read this to them, Cordelia," he'd whispered. "Let my voice echo through you." Today, their children Caleb and Sloane were descending, not to honor him, but to turn his legacy into a business deal. Caleb arrived from San Francisco, reeking of ambition and airport whiskey. His designer bag hitting the floor, no greeting, just a demand for the Wi-Fi password. Sloane pulled up in her Tesla, dressed in sharp beige, her husband lost in his phone. She ignored the porch swing Arthur built and the wild roses Cordelia tended, striding inside to raid the fridge with a proprietary air. They gathered at the mahogany dining table, turning it into a boardroom. Sloane's laptop glowed with pie charts. Caleb's binder brimmed with renderings. They pitched the Blackwood Experience, a luxury wellness retreat to replace Arthur's forest. Sleek cabins where his workshop stood. A spa over the cliffs where they'd watched eagles. They spoke of branding, not family. Caleb threw out terms like zoning variances. Sloane purred about market potential. They weren't seeking Cordelia's blessing, they were dictating her future. Calling it kindness. "This'll free you, Mom," Caleb said, his tone dripping with condescension. When Cordelia mentioned Arthur's will, they exchanged a slick glance. "We want to honor Dad," Sloane said, too smoothly. Caleb smirked. Dad hated wasted assets. They slid a power of attorney form across 70% estate control, her signature line waiting. Cordelia stayed silent, retreating to the sunroom, her hand on the cool glass, her heart steady with clarity. They thought grief made her weak. They didn't know the steel forged by loving Arthur. Next morning, Caleb rearranged the living room, shoving Arthur's cozy armchairs aside for stark modern ones. Sloane lit a sandalwood candle. It sent a thin mask for their greed. Cordelia descended with the portfolio, Arthur's will trembling in her hands not from fear, but from the weight of his trust. She read his words, equal shares for their 3 children, including a trust for their late daughter Lily's son, Leo. Caleb cut in, asking about zoning. Sloane interrupted, probing the irrevocable trust. They stopped her 21 times. Each break a jab at Arthur's memory, hunting for loopholes. Finishing, Cordelia saw their truth, Caleb tapping his pen, Sloane scrolling her phone. They weren't listening, they were scheming. "We're done today," she said, folding the will. "The lawyer arrives tomorrow." They nodded, smug, thinking they'd won. That night, Cordelia retrieved Arthur's birdwatching recorder from a hollowed-out Walden. She hid it in her cardigan, its tiny light blinking under a napkin at the next meeting. Mrs. Evelyn Reed, the lawyer, arrived with quiet authority. She confirmed Arthur's will was ironclad. The house was Cordelia's for life. The land and assets split equally, Leo's share in trust, plus a scholarship for environmental science students. Caleb tried to interrupt. Mrs. Reed silenced him. Sloane asked about flexibility. Mrs. Reed was firm. None. Their masks cracked anger in Caleb's jaw, shock in Sloane's eyes. After Mrs. Reed left, Cordelia played the recorder. Every interruption, every dismissive huff, every pitch to sell Arthur's soul. She uploaded it to a secure cloud, sending it to herself, Mrs. Reed, and Mr. Finch, Leo's trustee. She called Claire, Arthur's no-nonsense sister, and Leo's guardian. Those vultures won't touch Leo's share. Claire snarled. Mr. Finch vowed to flag their actions as coercion. Sloane's tablet, left open, revealed their plan: maternal pacification. A cold strategy to sideline Cordelia. She photographed it, sending it to Claire and Finch with one word: proof. In Arthur's attic journals, she found his true legacy, not profit, but plans for a veterans woodworking workshop and a forest sanctuary for kids. Service, not sales. At a final catered dinner, Caleb and Sloane thought they'd triumphed. Passing out glossy brochures, Cordelia let them finish, then stood. Your plans are void, she said. The forest and workshop are now the Blackwood Sanctuary and Veterans Workshop, a protected foundation run by me, Mr. Finch. And Claire, it's untouchable. Their faces paled, stunned, then furious. Your monetary shares are safe, she added. But Arthur's heart, this land, is beyond you. They left in silence, their candles scent fading. The next day, Cordelia welcomed veterans to the workshop. One, with kind eyes, touched the timber wall and said, Arthur would have loved this. At sunset, she stood by the forest, the wind whispering through the firs. Arthur's legacy was integrity, purpose, love. Cordelia didn't just save it, she became its guardian, finding peace in a promise kept. What did you think of Cordelia's fight for Arthur's legacy? Drop your thoughts below. And if this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd appreciate it. Let's keep celebrating stories of courage and heart.